All right, friends, I'm back to talk some shit with episode number 3, Eurotrash MMA. Let's get into it. We've got that doubleheader, like I mentioned on Instagram, UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi this past Saturday, and then coming up, UFC Fight Night Belgrade. Let's start with Abu Dhabi. We had Magomed Ankalaev in the main event against Bogdan Guskov. Guskov came in as a replacement. He was actually on the Belgrade card, but he came in after, I think, Khalil Roundtree pulled out. Like I said last week, I didn't really think Guskov was going to have anything for Ankalaev, and he didn't. Guskov's really, one-dimensional fighter, I would say, and Magomed Ankalaev has so many tools. He has the footwork, and he just took him apart. The crowd was a little bored early on. There was some boos, especially after that co-main event where Steve Erceg got bombed by Ramazan Tamirov. But Ankalaev, I mean, what a great fighter. I know that I'm probably his only fan, since he has zero personality, doesn't really say anything. But, in terms of skill for light heavyweight, Ankalaev he's the best. I mean, he did lose that rematch with Pereira. He just got caught early on, and that can happen. But I think overall, he probably beats Olberg, beats Pereira in a rematch if Pereira ever comes back to light heavyweight. And right now he's the best light heavyweight with very good footwork. The only thing I don't like is the stance switching, and that's how he got TKO'd by Pereira. He backed himself up onto the fence, and he was in orthodox and got caught. But here, he managed to avoid Guskov's right hand. He did switch stances a little bit here and there, but overall, he kind of spiraled away from Guskov and kept landing his left hand and ended up taking Guskov down in the later rounds. Got kind of a mercy TKO in the 5th. And, the guy gets a lot of finishes. He has a lot of TKOs. He boxes well. The only thing is he's a little passive in the early going and doesn't really press his opponent, even when his opponent is all out of ideas. He really takes his time. Obviously, he fights a lot of 5-rounders, main events, and title fights. So he's got that when he has that 25 minutes, he just takes his time. And some of these casuals just, some of these just bleed fans, they want action right away. So they don't like him too much, but he is a great fighter and a fighter that a lot of these bigger guys can learn from. I mean, I watch all of his fights, and I think he is one of the most technical, right now, I guess, the most technical light heavyweight that we have. So Ankalaev gets the win, and I would love to see him against Paulo Costa next. I don't think Olberg is ready to come back, and Costa, now that he's at light heavyweight and had that big win in his last fight, he got that TKO. He's an interesting opponent because Paulo Costa has a great record against southpaws. He's got that right leg. That just right leg roundhouse that he just hammers into his southpaw opponents, and it'd be interesting. It'd be very interesting to see how Ankalaev deals with that right leg. But we'll see if they make that. I hope they do. I think that's a fight that would be very interesting. Moving on, Steve Erceg got absolutely annihilated by Ramazan Tamirov, who's coming off a steroid suspension and, still looked very juicy. Came in throwing bombs, haymakers, overhands, and just got in Ursic's face early, and Ursic never really recovered and got kind of standing TKO'd. He fell over, but it looked like he kind of got knocked out on his feet. So Tamirov gets that win, and I think he got that big $100K bonus as well. On the main card, we also had Magomed Zainukov, John Pork, Chanko coming in against Damian Rozopecki from Poland. This kid, 10-0, got signed directly into the UFC, and that's all well and good. He's a good fighter, but this was a bit much for him. So tough entry, tough first fight against a guy like Chanko. He dominated this fight. It was a decision, but a dominant one, and Chanko looks good. He's got that Muay Thai, and his grappling is not bad. He was able to get up. He was able to land some of his own takedowns, and it'll be interesting what they do with them next. I think he was calling out Topuria after the fight, but yeah, that's probably not in the cards right now. But interesting fighter. Looking forward to seeing what they do with him. What else was on here? Rizvan Kuniev, pretty cool heavyweight. Not much going on at heavyweight, but Kuniev is one of these guys that actually has skill, and he absolutely murdered Tyrell Fortune. So Kuniev moving up. He's another one of these beard with no mustache guys from Russia. Probably has the same exact personality as Ankalaev, unfortunately, but he is pretty skilled for a heavyweight. So I'll be watching his fights. Prelims, Walter Walker gets another leg lock, this time a calf slicer against Thomas Peterson. It looked like Peterson actually trained for that outside heel hook. Walker pulled into that half guard. He was looking for that far leg, got the reap, but Peterson sort of spun out and freed his knee. So he defended the first submission, but then he just froze and stayed in turtle with his butt facing Walker, and just gave Walker the calf slicer. I mean, it was I don't know how. I mean, that's the thing you do from a failed outside heel hook in that position. That's the one thing that's there, and Peterson just gave it away. So whatever. Jacoby got knocked out by Saidov. I think this was Saidov's first fight in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. Santiago Ponzinibbio against Sam Patterson. Ponzinibbio is a shell of himself at this point. He looked like a ghost out there, and Patterson, very tall for the weight class, looked good, man. He was moving well, great footwork, great 1-2s, and he just annihilated Ponzinibbio. He had that boring fight against Venom Page, but he really, I think he really stepped up his game since then, because he looked great against Ponzinibbio here, and he's an interesting welterweight. He's very tall for welterweight. I'm not sure exactly how tall, but he looked very tall in there, and great movement. I'll be watching him. Definitely looking forward to seeing what they do with him moving forward. Let's see what else was on here. This turned out to be a pretty good little card. I mean, not much big name stuff going on, but I enjoyed it. I just saw the end of Axel Sola getting a Darce against Ismail Bonfim. Sola, a karate guy, massive lightweight. Massive for lightweight. Axel Sola with that karate striking, but he gets the Darce. Magomed Tushalov, another no mustache beard guy from Russia. I think this was his debut. Came in like at 6-0, straight into the UFC, and got the W. He had a slow start against Ribeiro, but he came back strong in the second and third. I think he has a judo background, decent striking, and he looks like another good prospect for the light heavyweight division. And then Mike Davis got absolutely how do I describe it? I mean, he didn't really get destroyed, but he got wrestled. He got thrown around and held down by Nurullo Aliyev, and he crashed out on Instagram, complaining about being held down, and said that he just wants to bang. And I think in the cage after the fight, he told Aliyev to not be gay. So that was pretty hilarious. But yeah, Mike Davis is, he looked like he couldn't stop any takedowns, couldn't get up. What can you say? I'm not sure how serious he was about that post-fight crash out on Instagram, but it was hilarious. So maybe he's got a future in comedy. I don't know. And that's it. Moving on to Belgrade, another one of these travel cards. Not a whole lot of star power here. They did bring Jan Blachowicz in here. He was supposed to go against Guskov. It was a rematch that no one really wanted to see because they had that draw in their first fight. And he is the co-main event here, coming up against Navajo Sterling. Sterling's the favorite at this point. I mean, Jan is, 500 years old and has had many injuries. He's still ranked number 4. He has that veteran experience, got the legendary Polish power. He's still dangerous. I'm sure he could land something, but Sterling's on the come up. He's ranked 15. I think he's on a big winning streak, coming off the Contender Series, and he's another very highly rated prospect in the light heavyweight division. Man, light heavyweight is starting to heat up with some of these young guys. It was rather weak for a long time. I remember the glory days of the light heavyweight division with Chuck and Tito and all that stuff. Moving on into like Rampage, and then Vanderlei, Lyoto Machida, and then John Jones came in, and we all know what he did, but maybe the light heavyweight division is making a comeback with all these young prospects popping up, but we'll see. I think Sterling should win this. The only thing is that he's coming in without a camp, really. I think he's coming in on relatively short notice, so who knows how ready he is, how prepared physically he is for this fight, because Blachowicz had a full camp here. But you still kind of have to favor Sterling in the sense that Jan is ancient. But at plus 260, yeah, I don't know. Sterling's as of right now, a minus 320 favorite. I don't know if I'd be confident in those numbers. I'm not a betting man myself here, but I see the money line odds on the UFC site right here. So, yeah, tough to say. But Sterling needs to win this one and break into the top 10 and give the light heavyweight division some life. So we'll see what happens there. Rakic on the main card, moving up to heavyweight, facing Marcin Tybura. Tough one here. Rakic the favorite, man. This guy hasn't won a fight in 5 years, I think, and you got to say he has been fighting at the top of the division. It's not like he's fighting these unranked guys, so that's always a thing, because it's totally different. You could be a guy that's just in the UFC fighting unranked opponents, and you've got a nice record, you've been winning fights, but you never actually step up into the rankings. That's a different ballgame. It's still impressive, but it's not the same as fighting ranked top 10, top 5 guys all the time. And, Rakic has had some injuries. He's been fighting the best guys in the division, and he just hasn't been able to get a win. So now he moves up to heavyweight, and I don't know, man. The confidence factor is also a thing. If you haven't won in 5 years, I mean, how, where do you get your confidence from? That's tough. That's tough to do. And Marcin Tybura, definitely over the hill at this point, but he is a crafty veteran, and he's been a heavyweight, I believe, his entire career. So, he's an underdog here at plus 270. That I think there's a lot of value. There's a lot of value in those numbers, and I think this is a close one. I could definitely see Tybura winning this, but it'd probably be better for the division if Rakic was able to break his dry spell, get a win, break into the rankings, and sort of shake up that heavyweight division. That would probably be better for the division, but we'll see. You can't underestimate Tybura because he's been around for a long time. Duško Todorovic against Robert Valentin. Middleweight fight here, pretty close odds. Duško, doesn't have a great record. He's coming off a win against Jose Medina. I mean, Jose Medina is terrible, so that doesn't mean much. And Duško is a kill or be killed kind of fighter, so he's going to come out there guns blazing. And he could definitely land something big early, but Robert Valentin, I think, has a very good shot of surviving that early storm, and he's going to be a little bit more technical with the grappling, and if he can slow the fight down, get it to the cage, maybe get it to the ground, I think he might be able to grind something out here, maybe even get a finish, a late finish. We'll see. This is a close one. It could go either way, but I'll be watching this. Middleweight division is my favorite division at the moment, obviously. So I will be watching this one, and I'm looking forward to seeing who gets the W. Also on the main card, a little surprised that they have this on the main card, but we've got Vlasto Chepo against Gilbert Urbina. Vlasto Chepo is making his debut. He's coming over from Octagon MMA in Europe, and as far as I know, he was supposed to get a spot on the Contender Series, but once Belgrade once the UFC booked its event in Belgrade, they gave him a spot here. They gave him a direct contract and put him on the card here. He is Serbian, so there's a lot of hometown fighters here. Just from the top here, we've got like three of them on the main card. But anyway, Vlasto Chepo is going to come in and throw bombs. He's a finisher. He's 14-3, I believe, and he's finished every one of his wins. He has finished, and I think, I don't know, maybe he's been finished in 2 of his 3 losses, maybe. I'm not sure. But that's his thing. That's what he does. That's what he's going to do. And Gilbert Urbina seems like a good matchup for him because he has been knocked out in his recent fights. So Chepo is a pretty big favorite here. I'm looking at minus 340. But I think this is a mistake. I think maybe a lot of money came in this week on Chepo based on when you look at, he's 14-3 and Urbina is 7-4. But the thing is, Gilbert Urbina has been fighting much higher level competition. He's 1-3 in the UFC, but he's been in the UFC. He's been fighting better guys. when you compare that to Chepo, who is 14-3, and when you look at the guys he's fought, even in Octagon, where he was a big name fighter in Octagon, he never really fought the best guys. Never really did. All his wins are over lower level guys, and the one sort of tougher fight that he had was against Pyotr Wawrzyniak, and he got TKO'd in that one. He got blasted on the feet and then finished on the ground, and that's pretty much it. That's the only one there in Octagon. The rest of the fights, his wins are against much weaker opponents. So yeah, he was booked to fight some of the bigger names, the better guys over there, like Peñas and Kinsel and guys like that. But guys pulled out because of, I think he was booked with Peñas a couple times, and he pulled out once with an injury, and then Peñas pulled out and it never happened. And then I don't know who pulled out of the Kinsel fight, but this guy, never did face the best in the division over there. So now he jumps into the UFC, and it's a step up. And I'm not really convinced that he's going to be able to deal with Gilbert here. He could land something big early. That's always a possibility with him. But I believe that Urbina is going to be very well prepared. He's been training at Jackson Wink. And if he's able to take this to the ground, then I think Chepo is in trouble. His grappling hasn't looked good at all. It's been a big weakness. I saw an interview where he said that he was considering retiring because he couldn't figure out how to improve in grappling. But then he found a new gym, a new coach, and he says he's been working on it and that he's getting better. So maybe this is his opportunity. Maybe if this fight goes past the first few minutes, then he'll be able to showcase his new grappling skills. But I think that's unlikely. I think he needs to land something big early and get Gilbert out of there. Otherwise, Urbina is going to take over this fight and probably finish Chepo on the ground, most likely. So yeah, I don't think the odds are realistic here. So there's huge value on Urbina, if you're a betting man. And then also we got to bring this up here. Let's be realistic. I'm out here in Europe, and we all know that these big European promotions don't do any testing, and organizations like KSW and Octagon and so on. Many of the veterans are juiced to the gills. I don't think Chepo is an exception. And when I saw some of the recent training photos and media stuff this week, he definitely looks a lot softer. And, I'm just not seeing those Octagon traps on him. And, I think he had to make some adjustments to his supplement routine after he signed with the UFC. And this is nothing new. This is very common for some of these veterans in Europe or elsewhere in the world, even, Russia or whatever, Asia maybe. And so that can have a huge effect. That can be a huge difference maker, not just physically, but also psychologically. I remember when Vitor Belfort had to get off his TRT program and fight Chris Weidman for the title, and he showed up just looking. He looked like a different person. Just looked deflated, and he got absolutely crushed by Weidman. So yeah, I think that could be a factor, and we'll see how he looks at weigh-ins. But I'm not convinced here. I think Urbina has a huge chance to pull off the upset, so to say. Moving on, What else is on here that we want to talk about? They put this on the prelims, man. That's weird. I think this could be fight of the night. This could be one of the best fights of the night for sure. Ludovic Klein against Tofik Musayev. Let's see. Klein is definitely faster, kind of a slicker striker than Musayev, but Musayev is a very good striker himself. Has some power, forward pressure, and while Klein is a slight favorite here, what's concerning if you're Team Klein is that Musayev in some ways is similar to Nate the Train Landwehr, who finished Klein back a few years back at featherweight. Because Klein moves very well. He, in and out. He's got great counters. He's got that great left roundhouse kick, head kick. But what he doesn't like is sustained pressure, even on the feet. So we saw that with Landwehr. And if Musayev can cut off the cage and just, maybe eat some shots, but consistently pressure forward, make Klein back up consistently, Klein tends to slow down. Okay, he's very athletic, very explosive, and very fast, but that comes at a price. Similar to like a Conor McGregor, that comes at a cost, and he does slow down, and that could be trouble for him if Musayev is able to pressure him and cut off the cage. Maybe mix in some takedowns just to keep Klein guessing. I believe that's what he will do. Musayev was also is not afraid to foul, as we saw in his last fight against Bahamondes. So he can make it dirty, and I think this is a very tough fight for Klein. Klein is coming off an injury as well. He had that broken ankle about 9 months ago, so that's concerning too. Who knows? Who knows? You just never know what it's going to be like until you get in the cage for an actual fight. And he is very dependent on his movement. So tough fight here. Klein needs to, I think, keep it standing, keep it more in the middle of the cage, and just either outpoint Musayev on the feet or maybe land something big, land a big head kick. But if it gets dirty, if it's on the fence, on the cage, if it goes to the ground, that might be trouble. Klein does have good takedown defense, which he has shown in the past, but fighting unranked opponents, and then it just wasn't as good as maybe as he thought when he and we saw that against Gamrot, because he has a very good first line defense. He uses athleticism, some basic freestyle wrestling, and he defends very well, pops up, in these scrambles. But once you get a guy like Gamrot who chains it together and also has very good jiu-jitsu, Gamrot, and kind of combines it and combines that control and the threats on the ground, he was able to really dominate Klein and not only take him down up against the cage, but also hold him down. And so, that's something that Musayev, I don't think Musayev has. He just doesn't have that level of grappling or wrestling. So I don't think Klein has to worry about that so much. It's more just the threat of the takedown and then maybe some quick ground and pound. I mean, if Musayev can get a takedown, he should just be looking to damage Klein. He should be looking for elbows, trying to cut him open, things like that. And if Klein is able to stay on the feet, I think for the entire fight and not get backed up, I think he should be fine. Maybe he should think about mixing in a takedown himself. He doesn't really have much of an offensive submission game. The submissions he has on his record are from way back in the day against like local competition, just way back. So, at this point, at the UFC level, I don't think he's much of a submission guy at all. But he does have some takedowns. He can explode for like a quick double, and maybe he should think about mixing that in, but I doubt it. I don't think he's going to go for that. I think he's going to try and keep it standing and win it on the feet. But tough fight. It's a tough fight. He is a slight favorite here. I think he can pull it off, but yeah, I wouldn't really be confident in wagering on him with these numbers. He's at minus 220 right now. The value is with Musayev, to be honest. I think they're ranked like right next to each other on Fight Matrix. I think Musayev's like 31, Klein's 33. So tough one. That's a tough fight, but I think it might turn into a war. Might be like a fight of the night kind of thing. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll be watching this one, and we will see what happens. Let's get back to the main card because I forgot about the main event. The main event is quite forgettable, but let's talk about it real quick. Uroš Medić, another hometown guy, taking on D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez. D-Rod is fresh from his Tijuana jail stint. I think he was stuck in Tijuana jail for like 9 months for weed possession, so pretty bizarre. And now they're shipping him over to Serbia, hoping that he gets knocked out by Medić in front of the Serbian crowd. It could happen. Medić is the favorite here. He's been winning. He's a skilled guy. He has a lot of tools, and Medić should be able to take care of D-Rod here. But you never know. D-Rod is he's a tough guy. He's pretty resilient, and if he can survive the early rounds, maybe just maybe he's able to come back and pull off the upset. But I don't think so. I think Medić takes this. So yeah, I think that's a wrap for this Belgrade card. There's some more stuff on here. Some guys I don't even know, to be honest. But let me look through it real quick here. I see Oban Elliott against Michael Oliveira. That's a tough one for Oban Elliott. Oliveira probably crushes him at welterweight. But I think that pretty much wraps it up. Nothing too interesting over here. Maybe the opener here, Jovan. No, there's like a girls' fight before that, but Jovan Leka against Alexander Popek. Popek, another guy who left Octagon and got this short notice UFC contract. I think he was offered a title shot in Octagon, but turned it down, and is now in the UFC. But this is tough for him. He was talking about moving down to middleweight, and he's jumping up to heavyweight to take on Leka here. Kind of a tough one, but heavyweight. If he can avoid the big power, he might be able to just dance his way to a victory. And Popek is in the UFC now. Pretty good for him. I remember he got knocked out on Contender Series way back against Jamal Hill, and he's finally getting his chance here. It's probably his last chance, so cool to see that. But tough first fight here against a big heavyweight in Jovan Leka. So we'll see. And I think that's it. That'll wrap it up for this Belgrade card. Let's move on to some of the topics that we have for today. Let's talk real quick about Real Jiu-Jitsu. I mentioned it on my Instagram. Man, there's so many people talking about this kind of stuff today, so I'll keep it short. But there's just, like with anything that gets popular, you're going to have, it's like karate when it came around in the 80s. Nowadays, everybody's doing jiu-jitsu, teaching jiu-jitsu, and there's so much shitty jiu-jitsu everywhere. It's hard to watch. And you have different types. You have the people that get into like the sport aspect and they're competing, and it's kind of weird. It's a weird little community of people that roll around on the ground, pull mounts, and then beat their chest when they win on advantage. I mean, it's just, I don't know. That whole culture is very bizarre. All these screaming people competing in beginners divisions, and it's just strange. But it is what it is. It's good to compete. I send my MMA guys out to compete when I can, just so they can sharpen their transitions and their grappling skill. But the culture is weird. But what's even worse, even weirder, is places that give out attendance belts. That is just atrocious. Do not train at these places. I mean, it's just sad seeing these people doing what they're doing. And also, jiu-jitsu is a martial art, and if you're not training the actual martial art, if you're not training takedowns, if you're not training how to close distance, how to control distance, if you're not mastering fundamental striking, what are you even doing? What is it? It's definitely not a martial art. I don't think it's jiu-jitsu, and your belt is fake. That's what I'll say. You have a fake belt, and that's that. Also, no-gi belts. What is that? I know, Danaher is doing no-gi belts. People are throwing belts on MMA fighters, and I think it's retarded. I'm not a fan of it. Jiu-jitsu, again, like I said, it's a martial art. You need to master it as a martial art, including, like I said, throws, takedowns, distance control, fundamental strikes, how to deal with strikes, standing and on the ground. And also understand how to fight in a gi, how to fight in clothing. When someone can grab you and control you with fabric. If you're doing no-gi grappling, great. You don't need a belt. You can just be a professional no-gi grappler. Good for you. But whenever I see these retards on Instagram posting pictures of themselves in their rash guards with their belts on, or people giving out doing like no-gi belt ceremonies, I don't know, man. It just doesn't make any sense. So let's just get rid of that. Hopefully that just goes away, and I don't have to ever see that again. And what can you do? Jiu-jitsu is so big and popular, and it is so effective that everyone wants to do it, but not everyone wants to really do it right. So kind of like karate in a sense, very similar with what happened to karate. But yeah, it's just how it is these days. So it's up to you to make sure that you're doing real jiu-jitsu. It's all up to you. Next topic: why it's so easy to be good at MMA. Why is it so easy to be good at MMA? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not that easy. But what I mean is that it is easy in comparison to other major sports, okay? Because a lot of these major established sports have been around for so long. They have such an established system, and the talent pool is so deep that even if you're talented, you're doing everything right, your odds are slim. Whereas MMA, if you're talented and you want to dedicate yourself to this, there's no way for you not to be good. It's still such a young sport with very, very little is systematized in a sense Like if you compare it to, I don't know, football or tennis or even boxing, it's all over the place. There's people floating in from other combat martial arts, you know, bad coaching, and the competition, the bar is very low. So again, you have to have a certain amount of talent, but if you do, and you're able to put yourself in a good situation with good coaching, a good team, good management, you're gonna do well. There's just no way that you wouldn't if you're doing these things, because, like I said, the competition is pretty bad overall. I mean, there's so many people in it that aren't really. I mean, they have no chance of progressing at any kind of effective rate, because what they're doing, what they're training is ridiculous. And so, you know, the doors are wide open for you young guys that want to be in the UFC. It's really not that hard. It's not that difficult. You have to want to do it, and you have to put yourself in a situation that supports it. Okay, I mean, you can't do it alone, obviously, but in comparison to other major sports, MMA, I mean, you can even start late and you could become a superstar, really. I mean, we've seen it before, so that's good. That's good for all you young guys. MMA, you want to do MMA, cool. You can be a superstar. Awesome. Next topic here, Maddox MMA future. What are we doing here? What are we doing? We're in our fourth year. September is going to be our fourth birthday. We opened the gym in September 2022. We have built an incredible young team of fighters. I mean, to think, 3.5 years ago, we were teaching these guys how to break fall and how to throw a jab and things like that. And now we've got a team of guys who, have been dominating the amateur scene over here. We've got a guy on the Contender Series next month, ready to win his UFC contract. And then several guys signing with RFA over here, which is an up-and-coming promotion in Europe with huge potential. And we've got this team that is now, some of these guys are transitioning to the pros. So we really have to kind of, I'd say, reevaluate our priorities, because, pro MMA is a little bit different. We still have some good amateurs as well that we want to keep on building, and we still want to build new guys. We have a kids program and all that stuff, and we want to keep building. But because the pro MMA part, the competition and pro MMA part takes up so much energy and time, we really have to prioritize that, and we're going to be kind of streamlining our program a little bit and focusing more and more on quality over quantity. We're still going to have, the jiu-jitsu program and everything, but right now we are in the process of making sure that we optimize our training system and training program for these young guys to be the best they can be, to win RFA belts and get into the UFC. That's the game plan here. We already have one RFA belt, the middleweight belt, at home, and we're going to be looking for more in the next few years. So that's the game plan for Maddox MMA. And that leads us into the last topic, RFA, RFA potential. I think RFA, which is also about 3 or 4 years old, I think, they had a great season, great year. These past, 12 months, past year and a half maybe, I'm not sure. and really kind of turned the corner. They started focusing more on young talent. They've got pretty much all the best young talented guys in Slovakia, and they do, they do like five or six events in Slovakia alone during the year. They do some stuff in the Czech Republic, Poland. They just had one in Germany, but they are based here in Slovakia. They're putting in good work, and what I'd like to see them do is sort of streamline their product in the sense that I think they should focus on MMA and the 4-ounce Muay Thai, right? Because right now they have a bunch of stuff. They have the kickboxing and they have some boxing or a small 4-ounce glove boxing, and you kind of never know what they're going to throw in there. I think the right play is to focus on MMA and 4-ounce Muay Thai. That way, it's all streamlined. It all looks the same. They all have the 4-ounce gloves. One fight, you've got scrambles, takedowns, some striking, submissions. Next fight, maybe you have two guys come out and just stand and bang. 3 times 3 minutes, 3-minute rounds of 4-ounce Muay Thai, and it just looks uniform and streamlined, and the fans kind of know what they're looking at. I think the big glove stuff sort of slows it down. I just don't think it's the direction that's going to help build the brand, the RFA brand. I mean, right now, they're about to put their first guy into the UFC, and there'll be more coming, trust me. And I think that's going to be a huge building block for them. I don't want to compare them to Cage Warriors. Cage Warriors has been around forever and has had many, many guys come through their program and into the UFC. But in a way, even now, some of the cards that RFA puts together are higher level than Cage Warriors cards, realistically. But like I said, the focus on these young fighters and giving them consistent opportunities to fight is the way to go, and then sort of profiting off their success and their potential moves into the UFC, because once you become known as the promotion that really pushes these young, exciting fighters and enables them to move up into the Contender Series and the UFC, you're going to have all the young fighters wanting to fight for you. You're not going to be out there looking for fighters. You're going to have guys coming to you and wanting to fight for your promotion. And I think there's a vacuum here, a bit of a void, since Octagon sort of moved to Germany. We really don't see them here anymore. And I think that first generation of Slovakian fighters is slowly, phasing out. They're getting old, and, there is a big void here that RFA can fill, and it's a huge opportunity for them. One thing they should avoid is signing a lot like these older guys that are at the end of their careers and maybe, trying to get their last paycheck. Not worth it generally. You overpay these old guys. They pull out of fights. They lose. They generally don't deliver what you hope for, and that name value usually just isn't worth it. So that's one thing I would avoid, is signing too many of these old guys for big money. I would really invest into this new young generation, which has a lot of potential, and that could sort of spill into Poland as well. Once the Polish fighters see what RFA is doing, I think there's going to be a lot of interest in Poland as well, which is a big market, much bigger than Slovakia. So RFA looking good, and I believe that they're going to have a big year. The rest of this year and next year. I think they're going to keep making progress and hopefully make good decisions in terms of the types of fighters that they sign. to the promotion. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for us here on this doubleheader. I'll be back next week, probably like on a Wednesday or something, to review UFC Belgrade. We'll talk about some of the fights on there, and I don't even know what's next after that, but I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.